Scotland against New Zealand, folks, this weekend. The All Blacks haven't played the Scots for a wee while, but they're up in Murrayfield for a first game since 2017. We're going to go through the squads, the recent history, the predictions, some stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one may go. The All Blacks have still got a perfect record, but I say perfect, like undefeated record against the Scots. There have been a couple of draws in there. But certainly in my lifetime, we used to have an undefeated record against Argentina, and same true with Ireland, and not anymore. Is this the game where the Scots finally get that win over the All Blacks? I mean, based on what we saw last week against Fiji, I wouldn't have thought so. The All Blacks were pretty sharp against Wales, but then it was only a couple of weeks ago when an All Blacks side got pushed really hard by Japan. So, man, you really do not know at this point. The top kind of 10 teams in World Rugby, very competitive, and you could really see anybody knocking over anybody on their day. For the Scots, they have made a handful of changes. I mean, the biggest talking point is certainly going to be the return of Finn Russell in the number 10 jersey. So it's an interesting one because Blair Kinghorn seems to be the kind of preferred guy with Gregor Townsend in terms of that project to get him playing 10 all the time. He started the first game of the Autumn Nations series against Australia, and then it was back to Adam Hastings last week, who took a walloping hit against Fiji and then is now out. So Finn Russell, who wasn't even in the 23, wasn't even in the squad initially, the magician that is Finn, is back. And he's starting, so he's not only just called back, but he's called straight back into the 10 jersey. So for me, that adds a bit of spice to this game. I like the fact that Finn's playing. I would not like to play the first time against Scotland since 2017 and then not have one of these kind of, he's just like a must-watch player because you never know what he's going to do. So Finn Russell's at 10 alongside Ali Price. So that's a combo which has got a fair bit of experience. Sione Tuipulotu comes in at 12. So Cam Redpath, I think, was released to play for Bath this week, which is surprising. But I just assumed when I saw his name was not there, I assumed he was injured, but not that I'm aware of. So Sione gets a start at 12 alongside Chris Harris. Those guys have played a fair bit of rugby alongside each other as well. Chris Harris last week sparking it up a little bit ball in hand as well as his defensive stuff, which he's more renowned for. The wing duo of Darcy Graham and Duhan van der Merwe continues. Still probably my two favourite my favourite wing combo. One of them in World Rugby. I just love watching Big Duhan and Little Darcy. I swear I say this every single time. I'm like a broken record. But Darcy was, in the URC, he's been absolutely electric. Hasn't maybe had the same luck in the Autumn Nations series thus far. And Duhan is just a big unit who always gets over the advantage line and is deceptively quick for a man his size. So if New Zealanders haven't seen him play before, they're about to. So, keep an eye out for him on the left. Stuart Hogg's at fullback. There's been a lot of talk about his hair for some reason in the media, and he doesn't like it. So stop talking about his hair and start talking about his game. Interesting. Pierre, Schoeman, Fraser Brown, and Zander Fagerson is the front row. So Fraser Brown is back fit, and he is also just dropped straight into the starting 23, but very experienced campaigner and two strong scrummages on either side of him. Ritchie, Gray, Grant Gilchrist, same second row. Jamie Ritchie, Hamish Watson, Matt Fagerson, same back row. So the forward pack is a fair bit more stable than the backs, or even the backs is only a couple of changes. So it's kind of relatively stable stuff from Gregor. We'll probably need to see Hamish getting over the ball and pressurising the All Blacks at ruck time. It's an area in the last couple of years they've been a little bit vulnerable. And Matt Fagerson had a big defensive shift last week as well. Probably need to see him get some big old ball carries to get them over the advantage line. Bench-wise, Ashman, Sutherland, and Nell. So Nell comes into 23. Jonny Gray is still there. Jack Dempsey is still there. Ben White, Blair Kinghorn, and Mark Bennett. So, I thought Ben White added a bit of zip when he came on last week as well. So we'll see if he can kind of replicate that here. For the All Blacks, they have made, I guess, a few more changes than what the Scots have got. Ethan de Groot continues on at loosehead, and he seems to be our premier loosehead at this point. One of my kids running around on the other side of the door. Samasoni Taukei'aho, Scottish fans, if you haven't seen this guy play, you're also in for a treat because he's a big unit, and he scores a lot of tries. He, I think, was our top try scorer in the Rugby Championship, so very much a big ball-carrying hooker who loves to burrow over from close range. So Yeah, you'll soon get a very, very good look at him. Laulala comes in at tight head. He could use a big game because his stock seemed to have fallen in kind of recent times. Sam Whitelock, Scotty Barrett, same locking duo. Akira Ioane comes in at 6 in the place of Frizzell, who's dropped down to the bench. Akira could use a big bullying game as well. See if he can get some go-forward ball against the Scots. Papali'i, in the absence of Sam Cane, is also getting the chance to prove himself. Certainly he's another guy, kind of like Hamish Watson, likes to make a million tackles. And then Artie Savia, is he going to try that dummy again this week? Surely the Scottish guys would have all seen that one. And hopefully no one's going to fall for it again, because that was pretty brutal on Nicky Smith last week. Finlay Christie gets a start at 9. That was a bit of a talking point with him being born in Scotland, although he did move to New Zealand at age, I think, 7. So sounds very Kiwi. Apparently his parents are going to be at the game, so it'll be a special moment for them. Bodie moves from 15 to 10. So Richie Moonga gets a rest this week. It's another chance for Bodie to maybe stake a weak claim for the 10 jersey, because it seems like it's still Richie's jersey that Bodie's just borrowing at the moment. David Havili and Anton Lienert-Brown at 12 and 13. Not the biggest midfield you'll ever see, but certainly pretty skilled. Yeah, David Havili, if he puts boot to ball, can really have the thing on a string. So if you're going to play him at 12, I expect to see a bit of that. And a fair few Blues, man, like Caleb Clark, the big unit on the left wing. That's like got to be two of the biggest left wingers in the game, with Duhan and Caleb both on the left wings. Mark Talea gets his debut on the right wing. He's been with the All Black squad a few times, but I always assumed he was kind of down the pecking order a wee bit. But remember, he is also eligible for, I believe, South Africa and Samoa. So, but the All Blacks apparently like what they've seen from him in camp. He's been training really hard. Fozzie was convinced he was one of the form wingers in Super Rugby, so congratulations to him, man. A Blues man getting this chance at international level. And then Jordie Barrett shifts from 12 to 15. He'll need to be good under some high balls and potentially kick some long goals, but we'll see. I mean, he's made his career as a 15 only recently as a 12, so pretty safe pair of hands generally. Taylor drops from the bench. Bauer and Newell there as the prop replacements. Vaa'i is still there as your lock replacement. Frizzell, like I mentioned, drops from the bench. TJ Perenata's stocks have raised back up a wee bit recently with the All Blacks 15, so he is recalled to the All Blacks and straight in on the bench. No Aaron Smith this week. Stephen Perofeta is also there alongside Rico Ioane on the bench. Stats-wise, Scotland have got, for what it's worth, the highest tackling percentage this year of all the Tier 1 teams. Now that can be a bit deceptive, because that doesn't mean they've conceded fewer tries than some of the other teams. They've certainly conceded more tries than like France and more tries than Ireland, but it's an encouraging stat, if nothing else, because New Zealand's a pretty attacking team. New Zealand breaks more defenders than any other, beats more tackles than any other team, so that's kind of a clash to look forward to. I mean, I think Scotland are at 91% for the year. The New Zealanders, in terms of tackling, are at 88%, so they're both pretty solid. And defensively, or breaking defences, the All Blacks break like 23 tackles a game, and the Scots are not far behind, like 22, 21. So there's some kind of not too different stats, you know what I mean? Like, you may not just assume that just based on the two teams' reputation. Against the stereotype, the Scots this year have scored a lot more tries from their backs. I think almost like 3/4 of their tries have come through their backs, whereas New Zealand have scored more tries through their forwards. Remember, Taukei'aho is responsible for a fair few of those. The All Blacks numbers are a lot more even. Like it's closer to 50-50 than the Scots, but certainly more tries from the forwards from the All Blacks, more tries from the backs from the Scots. Recent history, like I mentioned, the All Blacks have got a winning record against the Scots. The last 5 games, it's 5-0 to the ABs, but most recent one is 2017. If you want to look back 5 games, you're going all the way back to 2008. I think they were supposed to play here in NZ last year, but due to COVID, that didn't end up happening. So we've not played the Scots in New Zealand for a super long time. All these 5 games were at Murrayfield. Average score is 36-13 across the last 5, so the All Blacks pretty comfortable. But everyone remembers that 2017 game was a bit of maybe a missed opportunity for the Scots, but certainly a very, very tight one. So we'll see if that's going to be the case this Sunday. It's an afternoon kickoff, kind of early afternoon, which sucks for us here in New Zealand because it's like a 3 a.m. kickoff, which is kind of an awkward time. If it was an hour later, I'd be happier. Frank Murphy from Ireland is the ref. All Blacks are the favourites. 14 points with the bookies and 11 points with the rugby forecast algorithm. So there you go. If you want to watch it in the States, Flow Rugby is the place to watch. They've got all the autumn games, and there will be a link down in the description to Flow in case you are interested. Otherwise, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I look forward to this game and getting up at the crack of bloody dawn to watch it before the sun. What am I talking about? Crack of dawn. Well before the sun, 3 a.m. Take care, folks. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.